All right, guys, welcome back to the Dumb Guys Do Racing podcast. And today we're going to continue on part 2 of last week's podcast. So enjoy part 2 with Hawco and McNaughty.
The main reason we have McNaughty and Hawco on, there is no penalty 99% of the time for bully racers. You know, and by bully racers, I mean those guys that go out and just crush people, smash into them, push them off track, just because you're in front of them.
Yep, push to pass.
Push to pass is happening all the time, and it's not even just push to pass. It's fully taking somebody out at a corner because you don't have the racecraft to get around them. We've all experienced that, and then. We had an incident a couple weeks ago where a major streamer does a plebs of the week, and with very little backstory, accuses Hawco of being a bully and a dirty racer. Now, yes, we are biased because we know Chris. We know how he races, and we know that if somebody's being a bully and intentionally wrecking people, he'll go after them. Mm-hmm. McNaughty has pointed out in some videos that, no, he doesn't agree with that, but at the same time, he knows Chris, and he knows Chris is a great racer, and it's one of those things that Tishney doesn't understand, because Tishney believes that everybody should be given room and you shouldn't judge anybody for one action, except for the fact that there are people out there that we race with on a regular, that is their action. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be passed. They will wreck you. There are certain racers that we won't mention on the podcast because they're so bad. From your point of view, Hawco, in the race that was reviewed by Tishney, that got reported by a bitch, because he got taken out for being a dirty driver, tell us your opinion of how that unfolded.
Okay, so it wasn't even the driver that reported. Okay, it was somebody else in the race that saw what happened, and then they sent it in. So the Brazilian driver didn't even have a problem with it. Okay, the Brazilian driver you know what I mean? I haven't even gotten into it with him at all, right? After that point, everything was fine. Right? After that race, everything was fine. So...
Damn, so it wasn't even him. It was a whiny ass bitch that wasn't even involved.
It was somebody else that wasn't involved.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Typical Karen.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
If I see somebody get into it with somebody, I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna send this to Tishney and be like, here. No, I'm gonna look at the situation. I'm gonna be like, okay, why are these guys getting into it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm not
but
the
guy had been having problems with other people, and then that sequence of events happened in a few laps. There was a couple times where he almost nailed me under braking, just braking on the inside line. And then, he just runs me wide on turn after he dive bombs me into the corner. But he gets 2 positions on the hairpin. The guy he's beside and me, because I stay the hell out of the way because he's coming in like a wrecking ball, right? So I go to pass him on the outside of turn 1. I break in on the outside of him. And there's still people that are sitting there arguing with, saying, "Oh, well, the FIA rules say that if your front axle isn't beside their driver's door or whatever, then you aren't entitled to space on exit." When I looked at the replay, and I'm like, my nose is clearly ahead of his, on the apex. And then as we come out of the corner, he gains ahead of me a little bit because of the line. But I still have a better run, which is how I pull it beside him on the exit.
Yeah.
And But no, it's just the guy had issues. And then he went and did that time, and I was just like,
I've had issues with him too myself, so.
Yeah, I think so. So what is your thinking behind bullying the bullies? I guess that's a great question, because
Right.
I don't think Tishney really went into this because he doesn't think that bullying the bullies is right, because maybe they had a bad day at work.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the
Well, I think they're at that certain level
okay,
to where
looking at the, like,
they gotta be careful kind of thing.
Yeah. But at the same time, is that, like, his argument is like, well, maybe they had a bad day, blah blah, coming home, and then well, it doesn't matter if you had a bad day at work in the same ratio. It doesn't entitle you to come home and
be a
shit
fucking asshole.
Wife.
And we love Tishney, by the way. We all love Tishney.
I love Tishney, but he is so far off on this because he also, that he recognizes when he goes into the lobbies and races, he recognizes those races that are going to be bullying other cars, because they're in every single, region. You have those racers that are they're just bullies.
Yeah, so like it's interesting that we bring up these scenarios, because when I look at it, I look at it from multiple different angles, see what people are saying before I decide to open my mouth and like say anything. But it's interesting because the points that Tishney makes about the bullying and the griefing and all that kind of stuff in a vacuum, it's true, but historical context doesn't serve his argument, right? No. So he doesn't acknowledge it at first, right? And all the things that he said of the Brazilian driver in this case could have been true for Hawco as well. Yeah. And that's also not said because it doesn't serve the argument. Yeah. But I'm not saying that he was bullying or anything like that, Tishney. I'm not saying that he was bullying, but what happens when you bully the bullier of the first guy, right? Hawco bullies the bully. Tishney bullies the bully who's bullying the other guy. So,
just a massive.
So when does it end, and where does the accountability start?
Right.
Because,
well, yes, and I mean
that's the biggest thing. Accountability.
What is that? What is it? Vigilantism.
Oh, yeah.
When is it? That's a hard one to say right now. When is it? Is it ever okay? I guess that's the question. Is vigilantism okay? It's obvious that Polyphony is not doing a good job of taking care of the people that are actual bullies. Yeah. Like they're not. When it comes to, because Hawco's a vigilante.
Yeah, and we are too at times. We've done it ourselves. I remember multiple times that we've actually moved back to the pack to meet up with each other to hold somebody, just to hold people at the back of the pack the same way, because you're a piece of shit and you're wrecking everybody's race. We will sit back here and make sure that you don't touch anybody. We've done it. And it needs to be done to a point because of PD. The penalty system is a joke. The SR system is an absolute joke. These people need to be punished. I put it like this, it's an extreme kind of comparison, but the penalty system and the way the dirty drivers are and bullying people around and getting away with it, it's the same in a way like normal life, the police in normal life. The police have, rules and things to go through, and sometimes their hands are tied. The guy comes home from work, he's an abusive piece of shit and comes home beating the shit out of his wife all the time, right? Bullying the shit out of her, fucking beating her. Nothing can be done because their hands are tied. Well, I am the neighbor, and I know this, and I see the police coming and going, nothing being done. When is it okay for me to go over there and kick the fucking shit out of that motherfucker? It's the same, it has to be done at times. But then you have a bunch of people that are like, oh, don't do anything. Oh, you shouldn't do that. No, just leave them be. Right. Just leave them be. And it's like, that's all the neighbors sitting there
Just
Yeah.
being like, oh, here, let me put one hand in front of my face and just like
Yep.
act like I don't see
Yep.
it, act like it's not there, and I can
Exactly.
be righteous and think that I'm
Yep.
right, and you know what I mean? Everything's fine.
Exactly. And then she
Exactly
ends
that.
up
The
dead,
neighbor,
and then they feel bad
and
for
the
a day, and
neighbors,
then move on.
exactly. The neighbors are the other racers, the other streamers. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
one of these,
Yeah,
a
so-
neighbor, somebody has to step up and be like, enough is enough.
What
So
about
let's
people?
say I
Okay.
go over there. I go over
Yeah.
there. I beat up my neighbor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I get arrested and I go to jail for assault. And now my kids don't have a dad around to raise them
Yep.
for however long I'm away, right? So
Well,
the problem is that it's a scenario where everybody loses.
Yep.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's
It's a
the point
lose-lose.
that's the point that I tried to make. It's like nobody wins here.
And it comes back to the penalty system, the
win-win
policing
situation.
system. You know what I mean? Like that's the problem. That has to get fixed
It has
because
to be
you end
solved
up in
by
this deadly
policing.
loop of people arguing about the situation. Like you just said, like you nobody else is going to stand up to justice. You go and you get penalized. Now your life and or race is screwed. You know, depending on what area you're looking at. You know, it's all based on the penalties of the policing. You know, something has to be done. You know what I mean? Like give us back the reporting rights again. You know what I mean?
And actually follow up on it.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing too.
It's really easy to, for example, sorry, Jim, it's easy to have the reporting system set up so that it's not just getting like massive, like, oh, I didn't like that guy's move, report, he's dirty. No, because the penalty system gets fixed enough that the SR system kind of works, right? And the penalties are being dished out properly to a point because obviously innocent people still get penalties. Then the reporting system can pick up, oh, there's been a mass report on this guy, but he hasn't touched anybody. It shows right here, right? There's no contacts, no SR issues or anything like that. This is just somebody being in it, push it to the side, you know, or that guy for mass reporting, this guy gets a penalty, or, you know what I mean? Like, they can set it up to that happens, you know, and give us the right to report and get, you know, not get people banned, but get people looked at, you know.
I'm a big fan of being the masses being able to report what they believe to be dirty driving. I'm also a big fan of if you get it wrong, that counts against you for false
exactly.
reporting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you got to
I agree
really
with
think
that,
about
yeah.
reporting somebody because if you get it wrong too many times, then you don't get to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I have to say this about vigilantism also. Ooh, I got it out that time.
Ooh, good job.
The first time I ever messaged Hawco was because I was pissed off at him because he went after somebody and collected me, and I'm like, "What the fuck, dude?" And he was like, "Sorry, man. Chris is such an asshole in so many ways, and such a nice guy in so many equal ways that I'm like, yeah, can you just, if you're going to take somebody out, can you just watch it?" And I actually had that same thing happen at Spa when the dude was beating on me, and then I get past him, he gets pissed off, so he comes back and he sideswipes me, and then I do an amazing pit maneuver. It was fucking textbook pit, but I took out another guy too. And I actually felt really bad about that. The dude actually texted me and he was like, "Dude, what the fuck? I didn't do anything wrong here." And I was like, "Sorry, that guy was beating up on me the entire race, and I took him out, and you ended up in it. And I'm sorry about that." And he comes back with, "No problem. I completely understand."
Yeah.
Most people will.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
thing. So.
Yeah. And we ended up with, actually, we raced together in the last race yesterday, and he got the shit beaten out of him by this dude.
Yeah.
Like, there's this dude that just, like, the reason I ended up in third place was because this dude, the only way he could pass people was by running them off the track.
Mm-hmm.
Worked out for me because I went from 8th to 3rd. Mainly because of him. You know? I mean, his antics, he could have been in 3rd if he would have raced properly, but he didn't. And he ended up in 8th. You know,
Yeah.
he ended up behind. The dude that I had accidentally taken out, earlier this week because of racing like that. So consequently, PD needs to get their shit together and start allowing us to report. Also making the SRDR system more sensitive when it comes to contact.
Yeah. I have a question for both McNaughty and Hawco. We've discussed this amongst ourselves many times on the podcast, but you both have played ACC. I'm correct?
I played the older ACC, but I haven't played the new one.
Okay, so you understand the way that the game kind of works is you have to do shit offline and earn points and ranking before you're allowed to even go online.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, you have to build your safety rating against the AI and get to a certain point before they allow you to go online and race against anybody. And if that slips, you have to build it back up offline to get back online.
Wow.
Yeah. And every incident, every contact, no matter what, is a ding. Whether you're the guy that's getting hit or the guy. So it leads to a lot more giving room. Regardless, you're not going to cut the guy off and keep it tight because I can't touch him.
Yeah, because you'll get penalized for it for cutting the guy off.
Now, with that being said, Gran Turismo has a shit ton of offline races, and they have Sophie AI. Why can't they add a SR system similar to that, where you have to earn your way on by racing clean? Because right now, you just do like a couple menu books and you're unlocked online. Which is simple to do. Now, in these races, you have to be clean. You know what I mean? You have to build your SR up, and it being as strict as it is, if you have an incident in a race online, you're not down in the lower lobby now. You're fucking offline. And it is hard. You, literally, if you lose 5 points or so in your safety rating on ACC, it'll take you about 6 or 7 races against the AI to get it back.
Yeah, tough. It's tough.
So it leads to a lot. There's still bullshit. I'm not gonna lie. There's still a lot of bullshit, but it's still hard to get. And then when you get online as well, a lot of the race lobbies online, even the game organized, not just the private lobbies, the safety rating has to be actually high to actually get in some of these races. There's lower SR races, right, where you can gain a bit more if you're good in them, but most of them are like an 80 or so plus SR to even get into the race. And it only takes you like 55 or 60 to get online. You know what I mean? But it's a very strict system. What would you think if that was the way it had to be?
That'd be decent, but I think it's more of like the societal thing and the whole, it's about the community and the way they handle it. You know what I mean? If more people just called out dirty drivers and more people listen, either we all drive clean or you know what I mean? Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And Tidney kind of put things into perspective for me, just with the video and the stuff he was saying. Because I don't take anything personally that he was saying in the video. I understand where he's coming from, and he just made me think about it more to where there are certain guys that just grief everybody. Mm-hmm. And they do just mess with people like Kimmy, right? Where they do just try to take out the entire field for fun, okay? There's most of the guys that I do end up dealing with, they aren't like that. There are guys like that, right? But most of the guys that I deal with, they just do cheeky moves or dumb stuff, right? And that doesn't deserve for me to sit there and smash them over and over and over, right? Disney was like, once I understand, right? And that's where I just kind of have a rule where I'm only allowed to get one payback with a guy, right? Mm-hmm. So if some guy does something stupid, I'm going to get him back once. But I'm going to make sure when I get him back once that it's good.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'm going to let them know. And I'm going to communicate with them and be like, look, right? This is what you did. This is what was unacceptable. And this is why I did that. Right?
Yep.
And I'm just more particular about how I go about it. And I don't just retaliate when somebody like does something small, right? And I try to be a little bit more patient with people and not just be like, oh well, you know what I mean? Like if some guy does it on the last lap, so this happened last night. I was on Fuji and I'm doing last to first. I catch up to this guy on the last lap. He pulls over to the inside going down the start finish. I draft up, pull up beside him on the outside going into turn, outbrake him into turn 1. I'm pulling up on the outside of him, ahead of him a little bit, coming out of the corner. He rubs me over onto the fucking AstroTurf, so I lose like, a second and a half, 2 seconds. So I put my foot down, catch up to him, and then just send him in the fucking hairpin. Right where it goes to like the double hairpin.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just sent it there and fucking flying.
Hell yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
it's shit like that.
Yeah.
Where, you know what I mean? I know he's doing it, and I told him after the race, I was like, I would have gave you the win if you would have raced me clean. I do it all the time. If I pass somebody for the lead on the last lap, and they race me clean on the lap, like they have sportsmanship, like they just have class and want to race clean, right? I will give them the lead down the start-finish line and just slow down. Be like, here you go. Thanks for the clean race.
Respect.
Right? That's me saying thank you.
Yeah, Hawco did that to me in one of our race. I was in a race with you, and I was in the
Because he felt
mid-pack.
sorry for you.
I know. Well, that's what I was going to say. I was in the mid-pack. It was doing all right. Got hit a couple times, but Hawco started in the back like usual, made it up, passed me. Saw him coming, moved over. We had a couple corners where we battled a little bit, but got past me. But then all of a sudden, I see him slowing up, and at the finish, he let me pass him for the win. I was like, oh, shit. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it. But, yeah, I mean,
I've had him
he
do
does
the same
that
thing.
kind of stuff.
I've had him
right
do the
on.
same thing with me. Yeah. He's just that. That's just. It's just like like Chris said there. It's his way of saying thank you for being respectful and making an enjoyable race. You know what I mean? Like
And I
how
hope
many
that
times
was the
I say
reason.
about it.
I hope
Some
you
of
don't
my
feel bad
best
for me.
Yeah. Some of my best races are the clean ones for 12th place.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
nothing. Like how many times I've been like on stream or even talking to you guys, like, oh my god, I can't believe the last couple laps they were fucking like side by side through the whole lap for 12th. You know what I mean? It's not about the position at all, really. Like, and it shouldn't.
Clean racing.
It's about the racing. So it really Hawco's like giving up a position, a win possibly, whatever, because it's not about the position. It's about the race itself and the respect given.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It should never be about winning or podium or whatever it is. It's just good, clean racing.
And
having fun.
I will say I've been seeing more of that.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. Your heart gets racing.
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
ooh,
There's
so,
like 4 or 5 of you in a pack, and you're all battling, going back and forth and shit, but no one's
racing,
taking
no
anyone out. And, when someone makes a mistake and everyone's on their ass, they kind of move over a little bit to let everyone pass because they're not going to have the speed to keep up. And then they'll get back in the pack, and then a couple corners later, they make their way back through. And it's shit like that that's just fucking great. And I will say, I feel like the chalky mattresses, the Louis Dinzios and the Velocinis have died down a bit to where you don't have those guys out there as much as we used to, just out there to cause fucking chaos on purpose. It's more of mistakes and shit like that. I mean, we still have those occasional people, but for the most part, I feel like that has died down. That doesn't happen as much.
Reinforcer.
That's right.
They don't last an A+. They just don't last an A+.
Exactly.
And that's the other thing too, is realistically that kind of driving, because it is like we were saying, like mid A to A+ is a bit more of the elite number of drivers. Like, it's not a lot of people. Even if you do get your way up, grind your way up there with bad race etiquette and whatnot, you're not going to stay there long racing that way.
Yeah, fuck no.
It's too strict and too fast of people with good racecraft. You know what I mean? That the fact that they will just beat you. You might get them and bang them around 1 race out of 3, but those other ones are going to fucking bury you. You're going to lose DR and you're going to drop.
Well, that's what I like too, how they did that change with the DR. You don't get as much DR bump during daily races. So you can't sit there. I mean, if you grind 12 hours, then yeah, you're going to fucking make it up there. But you can't grind 2-3 hours and go from a B to a mid A like you used to. So I do like that they made that harder and that you do get the majority of your DR in the main races.
Yeah, I think they still need to get some more strict with the SR about being able to get it back, make it harder. Whether it puts you offline, especially if you drop to like a BSR or C, like you know what I mean, some of the like DR resets, you should be kicked offline until you can fucking kind of fix that and learn to race. And I think that like the ACC version of SR system in GT might be good because it'll teach you racecraft, because you have to not touch anybody. You know what I mean? You can't just go through the day of those offline races plowing through the AI and just collecting money and then going buying cars and stuff. You have to race properly. You can't touch the AI regardless how stupid they are.
Yeah, that's what I do like about
need to learn.
ACC is that they should. That would be a good one to add into the single player mode, is adjusting that to at least get it to a certain point to where you got to do that well enough to get to this point, and then from there the online then ranks you up from there.
Yeah, or at least minimally really put like the penalty system in the AI races, because right now you don't get penalties. Fuck all.
No,
really.
oh no.
Like there's a handful of races that they have that you can get a penalty, but so these people learning to and doing the offline and then going online. Well, I did this and then get a penalty, and now oh shit, I got a penalty. Oh fucking rage, red. I'm seeing like you know what I mean. Like fucking, that's another aspect as well, is because they're getting away just smashing the shit out of AI offline, and then they go online and it's like I got a penalty for that bullshit. Fuck you, you're dead.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Like if they applied car collision penalties and actually reduced people's SR from them racing stupid against bots. Well, then the people that don't know how to drive would at least have to learn.
Yeah,
and at
exactly.
least, like, okay, so say you're just, like, say I'm, like, 7, right? And I'm just learning how to play the game, right? And I don't know any better, okay? If the game doesn't show me a penalty at the top of the screen and says, you did this, right? My brain goes, okay, that's fine. That's perfectly fine, right? So people get used to doing that, right? They grow up like that, and they're like, "Oh, that's fine." Right? There's nobody sitting there looking over your shoulder saying, "Hey, bro, you shouldn't drive like that."
Yeah.
Right? I'm that guy in dailies where I'm like, "Hey, jackass, guess what?
Exactly.
You shouldn't be fucking doing that."
Yep.
But again, but it leads to the whole. We really shouldn't have to have a guy like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
iRacing does a good job.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that GT7 has a guy like you, because the fact that we shouldn't need it. Because you're there, because we shouldn't need it, you're at least enforcing, hey man, I saw that. That's not appreciated. You know what I mean? And because of that, you're going to learn what it's like to be taken out, but like you just did, for the entirety of this race, and you're going to lose. You know what I mean? And all it is like trying to show like these bullying people, like, this is what you're doing. It's not fun, is it? Yeah. That no corner you can get away from me. You know what I mean? Because like someone like you who is an absolutely alien driver, it doesn't matter if I get a fucking 5-second penalty, you get away from me. I'm still going to catch back up to you and fucking feed it to you. You know what I mean? Like,
well, if somebody, you know what I mean? They run me over. I run them over.
Yep.
To that end, then how, the ultimate question is, right, I think we all agree, right, that we want PD to make these changes. Who are they actually going to listen to,
I know, we got to talk to Terry. Tell Terry to tell
to anybody. Yeah.
Terry?
Well, they just tend to do their own thing, and they don't, they... A lot of times, the only people they listen to are people like Tishney and people who have been in the World Championships. Yeah. It's like their opinion.
I don't even know if they listen to Tishney.
Yeah, not anymore.
They do. They used
for
to
some
all the
things.
time. Yeah.
I think Kaz just.
I think Fraga and Hazel.
Yes.
Yeah, they're the big testers.
Some of those guys. you got to remember, there's 15 million copies sold. There's about 700,000 online racers.
They just need to hire us.
700,000, probably, 90% are controller players and stuff.
Damn, you think that many are controller?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a small percentage on a wheel.
Really?
I
would think a lot of people would have at least the G23.
I'd say not even 2%. Okay, I'd say maybe 2 or 3% of the player base has wheels because there aren't even.
You're blowing my mind.
Like the whole A plus player base. Not all of them have wheels.
Right.
How many controller players that are
right? I know a handful.
So if A plus is top 2 or 3%, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck! My mind's blown.
Yeah, Danny.
I figured most of us had wheels and stuff. At least G23s, because those are budget friendly.
KP, he's on a controller. Waves, he's on a controller.
More power to those guys, dude. More power to those guys, because I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't have fun. That's the crazy thing. And with VR, added that extra layer to where you're in the fucking car with the wheel in your hand. It just makes it that much better. I wouldn't be able to do it on a controller. I just wouldn't have as much fun. I want to feel like I'm in the fucking car, and I want to feel like I'm a race car driver. I'm 43, and I want to feel like that. God damn it! I'm not playing a fucking game. I'm in Interlagos.
I'm in the game.
In the sun.
I'm in the game.
Fucking driving this Ferrari on track in real life. That's how I want to feel.
There's a significant amount of players that play and just view it as a video game too.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
They're not us who hop into a car and this is, us being able to do our dream without spending millions.
Exactly.
Millions of dollars. Yeah. I mean, thousands and thousands. Yes.
Yeah, instead we just spend a couple grand instead of fucking like 20 or 30.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, per weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Shit, I wrecked the car. I ran into the barrier. Bent the fucking
tires.
Yep.
I need tires.
Need a new bumper.
Oh, here's
my
a
engine
question.
blew.
Here's a question. What would you think if or do you think it would help solve the problem if polyphony made full damage actually full damage? Like, you fucking run into a wall, and
your race is
done.
Race.
Well, exactly.
Like ACC?
Like ACC and that.
Yeah, like ACC and iRacing, where you fucking tire flies off.
Yeah. ACC and iRacing have damage, but they also have repairable damage to a point. But they do have full damage. If the car gets too broken, it's too broken.
I don't see why they don't at least try it. At least try it. Turn
at least
on,
for the manufacturers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they did before, didn't they? A couple of years ago,
really? Like full damage.
I thought they did. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. But
I think you're right, Todd, because I remember at a point that getting damaged, you go into the pit to get it fixed, and you still had some damage left.
Like there's some stuff that wouldn't get fixed.
Yeah. Like suspension.
Because like if you bust that motor up, if you blow the motor, you're not fixing that.
No, if you hit a wall
arrow, but that was it.
Yeah.
Right, but even just turning on heavy damage for dailies for like
Dude,
2 weeks,
I'd be down.
Let's say.
I'd be down for C.
I think people will be like, all right, I need to chill out because
my DRS
that's the case.
Going to take a huge hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to be able to play the game. I'm not going to be able to have fun. If I got engine damage, I'm in the wall. I'm not going to be able to even play the game.
Yeah,
correct.
Exactly. I think they should turn up the SR up for even race B. Like they do for race A, they should turn the SR up for race B because it's so short that people are aggressive in those races. That's why I mainly just do C. Yeah. I just do C.
Yeah, I mean, race B at 3 laps.
It's always short.
Spa.
It's short.
And again, if you're in last, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You can't do anything in that race.
It's impossible if you start last. If on a
there's no point
race at Spa and you start. How many seconds behind the leader? Well, yeah. How many seconds behind the leader are you when you leave the bus stop?
Yeah,
I think it's like 10 or 11 seconds when you cross the line.
And for the average driver, not the Hawco driver, but the average driver, that's impossible to catch up.
Yeah,
you have no chance of catching up if you start last at Spa. and there are
If you,
3 laps. It's
yeah, if you
almost
know,
it's impossible to do it, even if it was it's nearly impossible to do it if it's a 30-lap race.
Well,
to
it's
make
not
up that
just
time.
last for this daily. It's if you're 11th place or
Yeah, 11th
Yeah,
or back.
yeah.
Yeah. What
There's
happens if
no
you? Yeah, Spa is
you
one of the
don't clear the
worst.
final corner, and then
Exactly.
it's pretty much just
Game over.
It
Game
is. It
over.
is.
If
It
you
really is.
if you can watch the map on Spa when it starts, there's ends up on the start. There's going to be 3 groups every time. The first 6 guys, then the next guy's coming out of the chicane, and then the guys before the chicane. Like it breaks into 3 packs, and it takes at least a lap for anybody to close anything up. So now you're down to maybe 2 laps if you're lucky
Yep.
of actually catching up to the guy in front, kind of thing. So yeah, it is really bullshit. Like that they can't kind of equalize that somehow.
Yeah.
Again, I think there is so much that is determined by
Non-racers.
non-racers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're number
I,
crunchers.
I think there are way too many number crunchers and not enough people that know about racing or enjoy racing.
Well, like we
Honestly,
said,
I
most of
think
them
there
are
a
just
bunch
think
of
of it as a game.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
a
Well, and a
fucking-
lot of them are just computer nerds.
Yeah.
Like the people that
Yeah.
work at Polyphony, there are just so many just computer nerds. What do you do? Well, I'm an engineer for Polyphony. That's all they are. Not saying that there aren't lots of people that do hard work, but whoever is choosing races is not doing hard work because they are not doing races that are enjoyable to most people most of the time. Like I look at races and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be racing at all this week.
Yeah.
There's no upside to racing some of the races because it's at a track with too few laps. There's no strategy. There's no nothing, and then you put on top that other people will determine how much DR you gain or lose. And, fighting for 8th position has turned into the same fight as for the win. Because, if you're in, 9th, 10th, and 11th, you're racing so hard to try to get to 8th position so you can gain a point of DR.
I've raced from the back and have gotten 5th, 6th, and still lose DR.
Yeah.
Just because the lobbies
Yeah.
aren't that great.
Yep.
But,
You're like the
there's
highest.
like
You're number 1 in the lobby.
2 or 3 A+ drivers in there.
Yep.
A couple A's and the rest are all B.
Yep.
And you move through and you still lose DR. It's like, man,
which is kind of retarded because
it is when you're trying to have fun and just race and do that. It's like, fuck, man,
because
I've done
it
4
penalizes
races
you.
and I've done
like
well,
that.
and I'm getting.
It
Get
penalizes
penalized.
you from racing from the back if it's a shittier lobby ranking wise, right? But if it's a power lobby, right, and you pass and you're up a bunch of positions, you don't get anything. But you lose a lot though in other races. Like it's really weird. Like where you should be, like I am like the worst ranked guy in this lobby, starting 16th, and I end up finished because of whatever reasons. I get up to 10th place. I'm not in that, say, top 8. I'm not getting any DR, even though I should, because I passed a bunch of guys who were
6 people.
way better than I am ranking-wise. I should be getting bonuses for that. But if you start in the back and you're number 1 and you don't get back to number 1, you're still going to lose.
Yeah.
And I mean, it should be more positional and then a bonus, a bonus on top of it for beating better people. You know what I mean? Like you get the bonus for it. Like there's a basic rating. So how many positions you get kind of thing. But you should also get a bonus for, oh, yeah, you passed 3 guys who are better than you. All right, well, here's a bonus for each one of them, kind of thing. It should be like a fixed thing, so it doesn't matter what your ranking is, it's where you start, and then a bonus for beating better people as well.
Man, I would love to sit down with PD and fucking just see how they do this and how they think about it and talk to them. See what their mindset is on all this shit.
Man.
It'd be fun.
That would
Hire
be,
us.
That would be interesting.
All 5 or 6 of us are available. We're all available, PD.
There are lots of people that are available that would make your races better.
Well, didn't
They're
Kaz
just
say he was going to focus on esports and?
Yeah,
Well, too, with the
still
FIA coming into esports officially now, and supposedly they were supposed to join up with Gran Turismo. There a couple years back, they announced it that they were going to come back.
whatever you do, don't cuss on the radio because
Oh,
you get
yeah.
a ban.
Banned.
Whatever you do. Yeah, I think that vigilantism in general is probably not a great thing. Okay, not a great thing.
But
Is
necessary.
is it sort of a necessary evil? I
think so.
I think yes. Do people get caught up in it? Of course they do, and it really sucks. Should PD take a different stance when it comes to how we are penalized? Absolutely. PD is not going to make that move, though. They just have such a difficult time doing anything, which is crazy because how many copies of this game sold?
Close to 15 million.
15 million, and we all paid at least $70
full price,
for it.
yeah.
Right? So we all paid, and some of us paid more for the
I paid that
anniversary
twice.
pack. Yeah. So we got
I paid
70
$100 at
times-
launch. I'm one of those people. I bought that anniversary.
Oh,
edition.
yeah, I got that one too. So
That's
God damn
that's
it.
Would we
nearly
get the Porsche or whatever?
that's
or something?
nearly $1 billion. $980 million. And you still can't fix the game.
Well,
I
just
wonder what
even
their
cut that in half.
expenses
Just
are
cut
a
that-
year. So
But
for all
just
their
to think,
employees.
we last year we only got 2 tracks.
Last year we only got
Dude,
2
I don't think we're
tracks.
going to be getting any more tracks. I don't think we're getting any more.
Well,
Dude, if we only got 2 last year,
We're
and
not
both
getting
of them
anything.
were fake.
yeah,
We might get
They
one.
need to put more rally tracks.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't disagree with that. I love rally.
Oh, it's
They
so
need to
much
give us
more fun
more
on
rally.
GT7 than it was
They
on Sport.
need to give
It
us
is.
more rally races. You know,
Yeah,
They're
they
not
should.
the-
How would you guys feel about if they had an 1/8 mile, quarter mile, half mile, 2 mile drag racing where you could build your car and you could
That'd be
certain
kinda fun.
classes.
Why
that
not?
would be a fucking
Why
And
not?
blast.
it's
I think
special
if-
stage X, and yeah, you could just drag race and do those types of races or whatever too.
There would be
I think
so
they have the
many people
capability.
that would do that. So
Yes.
many people would do that. It would gain a
I think-
bigger audience.
I think they should make competitive drag racing. So, like,
Yep.
you know how
Yes.
we have the grid with false start check, and it's got a random timer.
Yeah.
Same shit,
Yeah.
right? And then you record people's reaction time, right? Everybody has
Totally.
their transmission tune, right? You can balance it based on like horsepower or power to weight ratio, right? And then you have a sport mode.
stock with time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A type
absolutely.
different
Yeah.
tire, you
We-
can
No
do
we have a
nitrous,
point
no
system.
nitrous.
We have a
Um,
point system. There's
Yep.
a PP system. We'll be using it today for the Grid Finder Degenerates League of Champions. We'll be using the point system to make sure that people don't fuck around. You know,
Yeah.
if you don't hit the PP, you can't race.
Yep.
But I
Yeah,
think they need
yeah,
a sport
different classes.
rally too.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Like,
Yeah,
Like just
that
I-
a
would be dope.
sport mode for
Yes.
different disciplines, so that it's not just, you know what I mean, just asphalt racing. If we
Yeah.
had rally sport mode, all of a sudden people would actually take pride in racing rally, and it not just be this thing that's a niche that nobody gives a shit about that doesn't matter, right?
Right.
If you were A+S
Yeah,
in
they don't
rally,
promote it.
well then you know how to
Yes.
run side by side and slide through corners right beside somebody without killing them.
Yep.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
More
Hell yeah.
disciplines would be good.
Yep.
And it would give them a reason to make more rally tracks and to like
Somebody
change
said
the
that.
cars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I watched
I-
somebody recently on YouTube talking about that, like different, like, you know, the daily races on GT7. Like, that's a sin. They're not daily. They're weekly races.
They're
You know what I
weekly
mean? They were
races, yeah.
they were all excited to come in. They never really played the game before, and they thought daily races. They did one day. Okay, next day, come on, daily races. What's the new cup of tea today to race? You know, and it was the same races. They're like, what the fuck? All right, whatever. They're not bad. And then they compared it directly to something like iRacing and shit like that, where it's like iRacing has like a million different races, different categories. Like you could go in there and not race the same race twice in like over a month. because there's just so many options of races, rally racing, drag racing, NASCAR, Formula One, fucking stock, like whatever. It has everything. You know what I mean? It gives you the options to race whatever you want. Why can't we have a little bit of taste of that? You know,
I mean, that's really hard.
Races.
I mean, that's really hard development. I have to sort of defend PD on that. Doing daily races and putting out 5 different races a week. They already have enough trouble putting out 3 races for an entire week.
But at the same time, they can do the daily races and then do like an alternate one rally race or one of these races kind of thing. Like a lot of people talk about Daily D, an endurance strategy race. One extra thing in there is not going to kill them just to mix it up. You know, they can have a rotating week, you know, like rally endurance to this, rally endurance to this.
Race B should be the rally race.
Yeah.
You know what I think PD should do is a documentary and a week at the PD headquarters, Monday through Sunday, and just follow Kaz and his team and like what they do in a week and how they set this game up and fucking come up with their daily races and their nations and their menu and just behind the scenes how they run everything.
Yeah,
so they could get a fucking glimpse.
Todd, they've already
fucking logic.
They've already attempted it, but the week long event, they once they edited it out, it was only an hour long.
But
we got the whole week in an hour because they didn't do a fucking thing.
I'd just like to see how they run things there.
I just McNaughty had to leave, so he had some stuff to take care of. So we appreciate you. Thank you for coming on
much,
every single time. Enjoy racing with you. You're a great guy. Anybody who doesn't tune in or doesn't support him, you're an idiot. McNaughty on the YouTubes, go check him out. He's a really good guy.
Yep.
I think it's time
thanks, guys. I'm actually still here.
Oh, he is here.
I had to go soon.
Oh, I didn't have to go quite yet.
Yeah,
he got real quiet.
He was fishing. He's like, ooh, maybe they'll say good things about me. Pretend I'm gone.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Get him to 5,000 subscribers.
Yeah, let's go.
I love McNaughty.
Yeah.
You were one of those guys I watch almost all the time. I love watching Chris too because Chris is just an alien.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
And
love you guys too. Too.
But he's, you guys are just you two are fun to watch for different reasons because McNaughty is one of the nicest guys out there. Mm-hmm. Like he just is. Not saying you're not, Chris.
McNaughty's a vibe.
Yeah,
he's just a vibe.
I like it. I like it.
Absolutely.
That's true.
And when I want to watch crazy alien driving by somebody, I go over and I watch Hawco because he's just. I am at some point probably going to go and take some lessons from
Hawco Race Academy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the only ways I'm going to get faster, besides driving.
Yeah.
So
I've been watching a lot of Hawco videos just to see what he does and learn from that too, and I also very educational because he's an alien driver and he does talk and break it down very well to help improve you as your own driving. But and then there's like McNaughty. Every time I watch him, it's just like. He's like comes off as the happiest guy in the world, even when something is absolutely horrible going on.
He's just like
whatever, fucking smile on his face. Like the most positive person in GT7, I think, is McNaughty. Regardless of the situation, he just like grin and bear it. But it's just like. Yeah, I'm not going to let it bring me down.
Yeah.
Fuck it. If you're that desperate, have at her, buddy.
Well, it's funny. The other day I was watching him and he got hit a couple times. He's like, "Come on, man!" But he had the biggest smile on his face when he was saying it. I would have been so fucking pissed. I mean, "Fuck you, motherfucker!" But he was like, "Come on, man!" Oh, it was so good, so good. Yep, love it. And the Gimbo, RL, Mullet, all the boys. We appreciate you guys. So, sorry, Todd. Do that one more time for me.
Todd, do that one more time.
On that bombshell. Good night, everybody.
Woo! I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We had McNaughty and Hawco on. Thank you guys again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
And we have our race league going on today. We got Daytona, a redo of Daytona on Wednesday, which I'm going to try and make. I don't know about you guys.
Daytona 24. Daytona's today.
I'm going to try. Oh, yeah, Daytona's today. Cletus was driving yesterday. That was fun to watch.
500.
So, all right, guys. We will catch you next time.
See ya.
And, yeah, peace.